Probably one of the biggest trilogies of all time in video games is Mass Effect, and it's getting a remake. But it's not going to be exactly the same as the Mass Effect you played years ago. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 are changing a lot, actually. We're going to detail the biggest ones today. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 biggest changes in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Starting off at number 10, the visuals have gotten a major upgrade. All three games got a total visual overhaul, and they look way better. It's not just that the game will be running in 4K HDR at 60 frames per second on literally everything, but there are a number of really good-looking brand new effects changing the presentation of this game to look like something significantly more modern. For instance, cinematics have been improved from Mass Effect 1, lighting has been greatly improved. In fact, nearly everything from interiors to planet surfaces have been improved lighting-wise. Human teeth look way less creepy now. It's a minor but weirdly noticeable change, and it looks a lot better. They've added anti-aliasing, tone mapping, volumetric fog, bokeh adaptive field, subsurface scattering, and ambient occlusion. These are, of course, a bevy of technical terms, but if you look at the difference, it's huge. A lot of the character models are also getting a facelift, with more details or even slight tweaks to their design. As you should expect from this console generation, load times are being reduced, so hey, guess what? You don't have to ride the elevator up and down for God knows how long. Texture resolutions are now 4 times bigger thanks to using artificial intelligence upscaling, which, by the way, the textures look phenomenal. Some of them are actually 16 times larger, and you can tell. On top of that, there are a lot of new effects applied to various areas in the game to make them more atmospheric. One I'm noticing a lot of is the J.J. Abrams flare on a moon or a sun. It does add a lot, actually. At number 9, Mass Effect 1 is probably the game in most need of updating in terms of the entire series, and it is, well, let's just say things are looking up. Not just graphically speaking, because graphically it's really not that bad. It's getting the same kinds of upgrades as all the other games are, but mechanically speaking, this game is getting some much needed attention. For instance, they removed class-based weapon restrictions, which, if you remember, was fairly jarring if you played Mass Effect 2 first and then went back to the original. You still can't upgrade your skill with certain weapons if they're not part of your class specialization, but you can at least use them without the massive aim penalties you used to get. Inventory management is being improved. We don't know exactly how much. It sounds like they aren't completely reworking the inventory system, just making some minor improvements, but beyond that, squad AI is getting improved, so they'll take advantage of cover and more quickly respond to your orders. Enemy AI is getting updated. They should actually cover sometimes now, instead of just running directly at you when they see you. So in theory, the game could be fairly difficult compared to how it was. First aid cooldowns being improved. You'll probably recover faster, which is great. There's a dedicated melee button, which was ridiculous that there wasn't. They fixed a ton of bugs, ton of animation glitches, and most importantly, let's be serious here, the Mako is easier to control and is gonna make planetary exploration a lot more tolerable just for that. The HUD has been changed to match Mass Effect 2's HUD. Uniforms have been updated. They are not backporting the updated character models for Mass Effect 2 and 3 for your companions. They're just going to update them so they look better. So for example, Mass Effect 1 Liara looks like how she looked in the first game, not like the sequels. A noteworthy one though, in the original Mass Effect, guns never ran out of ammo and they'd simply overheat if you fired them too much. This was changed to thermal clips in the sequels, which basically amount to ammo clips with a different name. Many people wondered if these thermal clips would replace the overheating mechanic in the first, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Looks like overheating is still in the game. A lot of changes to like the Mako though. It's one of those things in Mass Effect 1 that definitely needed improving too. It has better targeting and handling in general, camera controls are smoother. Physics have been updated to make it feel a little more heavy and hopefully make it so it's not floating all over the place like in the original. The environments you explore have also seen an update, but we do not know exactly how much of one, at least yet. It sounds like they'll be adding more details, maybe change the layouts. Some of the more sparse planets out there were really tedious, and it seems like they'll be targeting that, but to what extent exactly, I don't know. At number 8, gameplay is being enhanced for the entire trilogy, not just the first. Squad AI particularly is being improved across the board. There are numerous instances in this game of broken AI pathing. They want to just eliminate that from the experience altogether. They're also adding new cover spots for certain encounters. The autosave system is going to be more consistent, so hopefully you won't be restarting an entire planet if you forget to save. Boss encounters are being enhanced in some way. We know they're doing it for Mass Effect 1 at least, but it's not really clear what they mean and if they mean it for the entire trilogy, but I'll take it. The interactive comic you could play before Mass Effect 2 that let you make a new character and select all the major decisions from Mass Effect 1 is included in the package, and you can skip it if you want to. It's possible to import your appearance settings from the original games into the Legendary Edition. In the original games, you had to finish the game once in order to unlock the hardest difficulty. This has been removed from the Legendary Edition, so if you want to just get destroyed from right at the start, like, go for it. They've made some of the morality checks less strict, so you don't necessarily have to play full Renegade or full Paragon if you want to see some of these dialogue options. Regarding mod support though, the trilogy and Mass Effect 2 in particular has a number of popular mods, and some wonder how difficult it will be to transfer those mods into some of the updated versions of the game. At the moment, it's unclear. The game director says that the Legendary Edition will be most like Mass Effect 3, which was much more difficult to mod than the previous 2 games. At number 7, there is not going to be multiplayer in these games. The project director said they chose to focus on the single-player elements of the series, and thank you, project director. Good choice. Honestly, like, I don't have anything against the Mass Effect multiplayer, but I certainly did not get into it. Like, the single player is the reason you play a Mass Effect. Am I wrong? Now, that is not to say that it is everyone's opinion. Like, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is still being played today. It is one of the most popular elements of the game, but it would also necessitate a mass amount of like cross-play programming, and it would really limit the kind of improvements they could possibly bring to the multiplayer mode. And most importantly, they wanted a cohesive experience for all 3 games, so they felt like it was the path of least resistance to just not include it. I think fair. It'd be cool if maybe later they released like a standalone Mass Effect multiplayer. I wouldn't be shocked if they did create some sort of free-to-play Mass Effect multiplayer element. I mean, sometimes when you see this kind of thing happen in a remaster, they're telegraphing that kind of a move, and I wouldn't be upset if that was the case. Well, if it didn't suck and the monetization didn't suck anyways. At number 6, Galactic Readiness has been adjusted. If you remember in the original Mass Effect 3, the Galactic Readiness score would affect the ending of the game, and part of how you could increase that score was through playing the included multiplayer. Now, since that's obviously out with the Legendary Edition, they've taken time to rebalance how that works, so it's possible to get the best ending without playing multiplayer, just by playing the entire trilogy and making all the quote-unquote right choices, or just by playing Mass Effect 3 and doing absolutely everything. At number 5, they've created a new unified character creator. Now, that's really good because if you remember, like, there was some weirdness. No longer. All of the enhancements that Mass Effect 3 got have been backported all the way back to Mass Effect 1, so your character can look exactly the same in all 3 games. And like things like the female Shepard design that was finalized in Mass Effect 3 is now in all 3 of the games. They've also taken the time to upgrade her face model somewhat. There's also new options regarding stuff like skin tones, makeup, hairstyles. With the new launcher of the Legendary Edition, you create a profile for all 3 games and then select a game. They haven't turned it into one big game or anything. You still select which game you want to play. The Xbox version even allows you to install or uninstall each game separately, so if you don't want to play one and you don't want to have it installed, that is perfectly fine. It is possible to import your appearance settings from the original games into the Legendary Edition. They even added a code importer for the first Mass Effect, but because of significant changes to the character creator in that game, certain codes don't work very well. This may be an issue that's ironed out in the future though. At number 4, almost all DLC and add-ons are included. Pretty much every general DLC, the story DLC, all the alternate costumes, all the weapons, all the armor, all of that stuff is in the game. Now that's cool because there is some pretty insane content in terms of DLC if you're into the story and characters of the Mass Effect trilogy. But there is one loss here. Pinnacle Station from Mass Effect 1 is not in the game because its original source data was corrupted when BioWare was working on it for the PS3. Sucks, but I suppose like also not the worst one to not have, to be completely honest. At number 3, certain quote-unquote gratuitous camera shots have been cut from the game. It's a minor one, but project director Mac Walters said during an interview that certain camera shots were altered somewhat. It seems to be related to some of the butt shots that are seen from time to time in Mass Effect 2. Like, apparently they're not altering any animations or models, but they are simply changing the camera angle to take the focus off certain things. I'll say I'm not really too personally affected by this, but there are a lot of people horny for the aliens in this game, and I could see this being like a major outrage. At number 2, there are some pretty big PC improvements. First, graphics, and then otherwise. First off, it is going to support DirectX 11. It will have unlocked frame rates, which is probably one of the things that most people who are talking about playing this game on a modern computer are thinking. But another big one that is really good is they are including support for ultra-wide monitors. They are not including ray tracing, but they are including the next best thing, real-time dynamic reflections, which is very cool. I very much look forward to seeing how that is implemented in the Mass Effect universe. But here's another little improvement that I think is particularly nice for PC users, because this is at its core a console game. On the PC, it will have full controller support, and that's a big one because of the way that a lot of the menus and like weapon selection and moves are used in this game. It is designed for a controller. And at number 1, obviously, it's not the PC, but consoles are going to see a major improvement. That might be a quality of life thing that's probably more important than real-time dynamic reflections. It's not console specific, like you're not going to see this game making use of the DualSense controller or anything like that. But if you recall, both the new Xbox and the new PlayStation have these incredibly fast SSD drives in them. So along with obviously improved visuals and 60 frames per second frame rate, you are going to see massive improvements to load times. And I personally am just beyond excited about that. Lightning quick load times in Mass Effect, when this was probably one of the worst elements of the entire trilogy, it is just an immediate priority in my mind. Now you get an option in the menu to either favor quality or favor frame rate, so you can choose between resolution or frame rate, though at the moment we're not entirely certain what these options specifically change. Quality is probably 4K resolution, while frame rate is uncapped. And I cannot wait to play this game without those load times. That's all for today on the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Are you excited to play this? I am beyond excited to jump back into the world of Mass Effect. I am so there. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Do not forget to click the notification bell. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. And we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.